Okay, we've already looked at how to find the area and circumference of the circle in the last video. The area we found to be 16 pi, the circumference to be 8 pi. But let's say instead of having the whole circle, we only have one piece of it. So let's start with the area of a sector. The sector is just like this pie-shaped piece that I'm overlaying in green there, like a slice of pie or a slice of pizza cut out of that circle. So if I have that, if I'm not wanting the whole circle, but I'm just wanting that, the best way to do it is to just look at what fraction of the circle I have. So I have 60 degrees. Choose a darker color. Compared to 360 degrees. And I can figure out I have 60 out of 360 of this circle. And if I multiply that by my area of the entire circle, 16 pi, that is how I find the area of a sector of the circle. So to find the area of a sector, you first need to know the area of the whole circle by just using your pi r square. In this case, it was 16 pi. So I can do 60 out of 360 times 16 pi. Now, if I go to Desmos, let's clear out what we already had here. What I can do is if I want my answer in terms of pi, I can just type in 60 divided by 360 and then multiply that by 16. If I want my answer in terms of pi, I can just leave it just like that, and this little fraction button to the side that I'm clicking is going to convert it from a decimal to a fraction. So that means my answer as a fraction would be 8/3 pi, or 8 pi over 3. If I wanted my answer as a decimal, all I would need to do is go back in and add the pi there. So instead of typing it that way, 60 divided by 360 times 16 pi. If I put pi in my calculator, I don't put it on my paper, and my answer would just be about 8.4, because that 8.3, the 7 would make it round up to an 8.4. So that is how I get my answer of 8 pi over 3, or if you wanted the decimal, I showed you how to do that. Now, in addition to finding the area of a sector, you can also find an arc length. By arc length, what we mean a little piece of the circle. So the circumference of the circle would be all the way around. The arc length would just be the distance between 2 points on the circle. And a lot of times they will have these labeled. They might call this A and B. So they'll give you something that says a little M with an AB. That means it wants to know the measure of arc AB. The measure of arc AB would be 60 degrees, because it is a 60-degree arc. Since it's a 60-degree cut in the middle, that arc is still 60 degrees. So if I want to find arc length for this circle, what I'm going to do is since it's based on the outside of the circle, I'm going to be using my circumference. So I still need to know what part of the circle it is. 60 out of the whole circle is 360 degrees. Multiply it by my circumference, which is 8 pi, and then I would get the answer. If I go to Desmos, I can type in my 60 divided by 360, multiply it by just my 8, and that would give me my answer in terms of pi, would be a 4/3, and stick a pi with it. So that would be your answer in terms of pi. If you didn't want your answer in terms of pi, of course, I could just stick the pi beside it, and that would be 4.188. And if I round it to the nearest tenth, that would be 4.2, tenth being one decimal, the 8 rounding the 1 up to a 2. So 4.2 would be my answer to the nearest tenth. But in terms of pi, once again, it was 4/3 pi. So I'm going to go back over here and write that down. And hopefully this will help you understand that when I want the length of an arc, or I want the area of a sector, the best thing to do is start by figuring out the entire circle, and then just multiply your answer for the entire circle by the appropriate fraction, and you'll get your correct answer for the sector area of 8/3 pi, and for the circle area of 4/3 pi.